Hey everyone, welcome to our new series, Growing Together. My name is Nathan, and with me is my much better half, Aaron.
This week, we're talking about our faith and how important it is that each of us grow in our faith.
So here in a minute, Pastor David, he's going to share his story, his personal story about how he grew in his faith.
Then he's going to present us with a practical challenge that each of us can do this week to strengthen our faith.
We are praying for you. We are so excited that you are together, kicking off this new series. Enjoy the session.
Part of my journey of faith was about the church, and I didn't grow up going to church. In fact, I didn't even know what a church was. I actually started coming to church because I wanted to date this girl, and she wanted to date me, but her parents wouldn't let me date her unless I came to church, and so that's why I came to church. Now, the other reason I came to this church is because it actually had a basketball court, and I could play basketball, so that was great. But this whole church thing, it was completely foreign to me. I had no idea what they were talking about. And I remember the very first time that they had this thing called communion, and I'm sitting in the back with all the other high schoolers. That's where we were sitting, and some old guy gets up, and they called him elder or deacon. I'd never, ever heard of those words. And they start talking about the blood of Jesus. He starts talking about the body of Jesus. And then he says, we're going to pass these elements. And I'm thinking at this point that what in the world is going on? My dad is absolutely right. I'm part of a cult. I had no idea what was going on. I turned to the person next to me. I said, what is this all about? And they said, I don't know, but it's something we do every week. I go, are you kidding me? I passed it as quick as I could, but when I did peek in, I was somewhat relieved that it wasn't a lot of blood and gore, okay? Now, the girl that I was dating and the reason that I came, we broke up, but I kept coming. And I said mostly it's because of the gym. Because again, I could endure youth group for 1 hour if I could play basketball for a couple hours. But there was something else. I thought this preacher, that's what they called him, he knew something about me. He knew some stuff about me, and he definitely knew some stuff about God. And it just amazed me how much of the stuff that he was saying was connecting to me, with stuff that I had never really talked to anybody else, or maybe even never thought very much for myself. He also talked about this thing called faith. He talked about trust. Who was I trusting? What was I trusting in, and for what? And those were some great questions, and they got me to think. And then he talked about surrender, and that was not for me, because surrender, that's a bad word, right? That means I've lost, that I'm losing. I didn't want to surrender. But I continued to listen, and I continued to learn. And then he was talking about these personal relationships with God through Jesus, and I'm going, what in the world is that? So it did take me a while to wrap my head around all of that, but more importantly, to wrap my heart around that as well. Well, one day I said, I'm doing it. They had what they called an altar call, and I walked forward. I was going to put my trust in Jesus. Now, again, I wasn't a bad kid. In fact, I got really great grades. I was an athlete. I was a hard worker. But I did feel like something was missing. And so I walked to the front. I don't think the preacher knew who I was, but that night he baptized me in Jesus. My parents didn't come. They said, you can do whatever you want. You're old enough to do that. I was a junior in high school at that point. But my trust and my faith started to grow at that moment. I didn't see stars. I didn't have any kind of vision or anything like that. But I did have what I considered a peace that I hadn't had before. Now, several months later, I'm still going to church. Now I'm going to Sunday night church because I'm going all in because that's what I do, right? And they're having this prayer time. And I didn't really get the whole prayer thing. I thought, I could do that for meals. That made sense. I see why people are doing that. But there was this lady in the church that I had never met, but they talked about a lot. And she was very important to a lot of people at that church. She was what they called the Sunday school superintendent. And she had cancer, and it was in a bad way. And she wasn't going to make it. And so they wanted us to pray. And I thought, wow, maybe I should do that. I was stretching. I was growing my faith. I was trusting in God, and I was going to do something for that woman as well. And so I tried to pray. And I prayed for her the best I knew how several times during that week. Well, it was incredible because she lived. And they were talking how this was miraculous. I go, wow, I can trust God to help out and to help others. Now, she did die a couple years later, but I became convinced of the importance of prayer. And I'm telling you, my faith grew as I depended more and more on God to guide my life, to intervene, to be part of my life. There were still some ups and downs. There's still a lot of things I still didn't understand, but I believe that was really a step forward in growing my faith. Well, that summer, the preacher and his family invited me to go to this thing called the Week of Missions. It's at Camp Wainema. Our church had helped found that, and it was just an amazing week. There's a Bible lecturer. I didn't really know what that was. His name was Woody Phillips. He'd been a missionary in Chile, and I became absolutely enamored. I was fascinated. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Now, some of the high school guys, they wanted to skip the sessions, but not me. I wanted to listen. This was just amazing to me. I couldn't believe that people would leave their family and their friends. They would leave good jobs so that they could go share Jesus to people that they didn't even know in these other countries. And then I thought about the faith and the trust that it would take to do that. I go, wow, could I ever do that? And then I heard about Hebrews chapter 11 and the hall of faith. Without faith, of course, it's impossible to please God. And I just remember saying, I need more faith. And then I was reading some of those names in that chapter 11 of Hebrews, and I didn't even know some of those names. Now, by this time, I had heard about Noah because of Tiny Tots and some of those things I was helping out with. But there was this Abraham guy, and he left, not knowing where he was going because he trusted God. He had that kind of faith in God, and that was just incredible for me. And it's inspired me. And so I'm trying to think, how am I going to put my faith into action? Because I really wanted to continue to grow. Well, for whatever reason, I was going to go to Bible college. And in some ways for me, this was really a step of faith. It was a step that I wanted to do to grow my faith. Now, again, nobody in my family had ever gone to college. I had several offers to play baseball at some other colleges. But the youth ministry said, hey, I found this Bible college. It's our biggest college. He said, they have a baseball team. It's in Missouri. The Cardinals and the Royals are there. You'll be discovered, no problem. So I decided that I'm going to do this. I had never seen it. I'd never heard of the college. I didn't know anybody who was there. My parents, they're not very excited. My dad had dropped out of high school. He was a mill worker. He wanted me to work at the mill. My mom, she was okay with college as long as it was close. They're not going to help me financially whatsoever. But I thought I would take this step. And so I get in my 65 Chevelle Malibu Super Sport, and I head to Missouri. And I'm telling you, what a year it was. I learned some great Sunday school stories, which I wanted to know because I had never heard them. I met some great people, but the baseball team was horrible. I've coached baseball at the high school for a freshman team for about 15 years. My freshman team could have beat us. Now, I was never, ever going to be a preacher, so I said, I'll finish out this year, and then I left. But what I learned that year about faith, about depending on God, about trusting Him, I'm telling you, for my journey, was just absolutely amazing. So those are a few things about my story of faith and growing my faith. And I'm still on this journey, and I'm still trying to grow. I'm still trying to put my faith into action, and I hope you will as well. But here's the key application. If there's one that you're going to choose, and only one, I hope you'll do more than one, but if this is the one, this is it, okay? I'm going to ask you to write down your faith story. And I'm going to give you a couple steps to help you in that process of writing down your faith story. Again, first of all, you got to take some time and reflect on your personal journey of faith. And then make sure you identify some key milestones or some people who've influenced that or some experiences that have shaped your beliefs, that have shaped your relationship with God. These could include moments of doubt, a moment of conversion. It could be spiritual awakening. It could be answered prayers, or it can be some experiences that really strengthen and encourage your faith. So I'm asking you to consider both the joys and the challenges. Consider before and after Christ. I was like this before, I felt this, and then after Christ came into my life, I'm like this, I feel this. And again, here's the key. Write your faith story down. Be authentic. Be personal. Share your thoughts, share your emotions, your experiences in a genuine, heartfelt way. And really, I'm asking you to make sure you're vulnerable and transparent. And then the key is to share that. Share that with the pastor, share that with your life group leader, mature Christ followers, so that they can give you feedback. And then edit it, and then create a shorter version. And we're asking you to make sure you share this on our app. It'll be a good way for you to light up your badge and see your growth process, part of your next steps. And again, that really encourages a lot of us as well. And so that we're going to continue to be able to share our story with people along the 99 corridor, encourage people growing their faith. And again, we get to do that together. So I'm looking forward to hearing about your story and how God continues to grow your faith as well.